one of the most important things in storytelling is being vulnerable. And that's the real formula that I teach in terms of storytelling. Like one of the exercises that we do is, or, and when we do this exercise, like people come to a lot of big realization. Holy shit, like I didn't even realize it, but this is what I was doing.
Wow, I freaking love this.
Sun Yi, a founder and principal of Night Owl, an award-winning agency that worked for the companies like
American Red Cross,
Spotify,
Rio Network, and Swell Bottle,
and built branding for big names like Mel Robbins,
Jay Shetty, Gabby Bernstein, and he runs
so many different communities and supports creators
to hone their storytelling.
This is the kind of the brand story that we did for Mark Randolph, who's a co-founder of Netflix. I asked him like from his childhood, all those stories. And he kept telling me about stories where he did something that he wasn't supposed to do, right? And keep getting in trouble for it, right?
Have you ever struggled with figuring out how to tell your story? Really your story about who you are, but in a way that doesn't feel forced or salesy? I think this is a thing that in this modern day and age we often talk about is the idea of building who we are and promoting ourselves, and maybe even this concept of a personal brand. By the way, if you're new to this, welcome back to Big Asian Energy. I'm your friend John Wang, and each week we talk to Asian Americans, ceiling breakers, change makers, and a few troublemakers to share how they redefine their fields and change the world in their own ways. And as always, if you find something helpful in this episode, please share it with somebody you care about, because as we often say here, when we rise together. Now, I'm really excited because today I get to talk to Sun Yi, who is somebody who I actually really personally have admired and followed for a while. He's the founder and principal of Night Owls, which is a New York-based award-winning digital branding agency that has worked with companies like the American Red Cross, Spotify, Rio Network, Swell Bottle. And he is truly the voice when it comes to personal branding. This is a guy who has built branding for big names like Mel Robbins, Jay Shetty, Gabby Bernstein. And if you haven't heard of those names yet, chances are pretty good that somebody around you have. Sun has spent the last 20 years dedicated to experience in designing, branding, and storytelling, and has built brands that scaled from early stages to something like over $1 billion in total revenue. And more importantly, he runs so many different communities and supports creators to hone their storytelling and hosts a podcast, Authentic as Fuck. Now, today's conversation, I'm going to dive into talking with him about creating what authentic personal branding that feels real to you is like, rather than just like a marketing gimmick that's meant to tell you, who you are. How to tell better stories through website content or really any platform to see how it is that your own reputation can get built. And, how do we build actual personal branding or your reputation at work without chasing empty hype? So first and foremost, welcome to the show, Sun.
Thanks, bro, my Asian brother from another mother. Thank you, everyone, for having me.
Oh man, Sun, I'm really
love
excited.
the word that you use, troublemaker. I'm gonna steal that. Like,
Oh,
because as soon as you said troublemaker, I'm like, holy shit, that's me. Like, that was me my whole life. So.
Yeah, let's dive into that, because you're like, when I think of Sun, really what I think of is those words right behind you right now on that sign that says authentic as fuck. I mean, that is the troublemaker essence, right? Like, what is being a troublemaker, or what is authenticity? Just starting from there, like, what does that mean to you?
I guess what does it mean to me is I've always grown up, like when I started my business, and like our agency kind of took off and we became pretty successful. And the first time like I went to Korea, I remember my dad telling me like, son, I'm just thankful that like you're not like a drug addict, or like just that you didn't go like completely off the rail, right? Like they didn't even expect a lot from me actually. they would have just been thankful if I lived a normal life, right? So that's kind of like, I mean, that should draw a picture for you. Like I was kind of like, I was not the best student growing up. I was not
You were not one of the good Asians.
Exactly. No, I wasn't. I didn't hang out with and maybe that's what makes me so different from like most Asians. Is I was rebellious. I was a troublemaker. I hung out with the wrong crowd. I grew up in LA, and I kind of got, I had some bad friends, and then like my family like took me my senior year, and because they were moving to New York, and they took me out of school. Like they had the opportunity like to let me stay with my grandma and finish out high school in LA, but they took me out of school my senior year and took me with them to New York because they didn't think LA was like a good place for me with my friends and things like that. So that kind of gives you an idea of like what kind of Asian I was. I wasn't the good kind. So that's why when you said troublemaker, I was like, yeah. But I think that actually like ended up helping me out in the long run because I am pretty unapologetic. Like when if I'm starting a business, I'm working on a project, and everybody is like, "No, son, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that." I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it. Like if I think something is right, I'm doing it. Right? Like I don't really care what other people think.
Yeah.
Or like if I post something that's controversial, I post once in a while. I'll post something like pretty controversial, and like a lot of people when when they post something controversial, they'll be like, oh, I know this is an unpopular opinion, and I know not everybody agrees with me, and it's not always this way, but they'll say something controversial, but they'll kind of like add all these caveat and like they'll kind of like fluff it up
Yeah.
to make it not sound as harsh,
The
right? Like
disclaimers.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They'll try
I
to
might get
justify
hate. I
it.
might get downvoted for this, or people might not agree with me. Yeah, they're like disclaimers.
Yeah.
Yeah, to soften the
Yeah,
blow.
they're apologizing even before they say the opinion, and it's like, no, I'll just say it straight up, right? And I don't really, I guess it doesn't bother me as, I mean, it still bothers me a little bit, but it doesn't bother me as much as most people when I get hate comments or somebody's like, you don't know, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, who are you? Like, who are you to say this? Or like, those kind of things.
Oh my God. I can absolutely. So, like, this is something that I personally experience, right? Because this is, I mean, my brand is Big Asian Energy. And the big thing about it is unapologetic, that energy that we carry. So, my first question is, this is very much in some ways against a lot of the cultural values that many of us grew up with, which is like harmony, not being the nail that sticks out, not being we have so many freaking things saying like, oh, don't be the grass that sticks out, don't be the tree that sticks out. How did you take on this mindset of this, like, not giving a fuck? I'm going to say what I feel. Like, first and foremost, how did you come to feel safe in that? Because that's always a tough thing to do.
That's a good question. I guess like because I'm still Asian and like my parents are, no matter how rebellious I am, I still grew up in an Asian household. So like I heard all that, right? If you're like the nail that sticks out, you're gonna get hammered back in, right? It's like Korea's like we're Korean. Korea is like a very like you put your country, you put the society before yourself type of kind of mentality. I moved here when I was 11, so maybe like I didn't have it as much as if I were to grow up in Korea. But yeah, I think I'm naturally rebellious. I'm naturally stubborn. So nature has something to do with that. Because like my sister is not like me at all. She is actually very goody two shoe, like follow the rules type of.
Is she your older or younger sister?
She's 1 year older than me.
1 year older.
Yeah.
So she took.
And we grew up in the South.
She took the brunt.
yeah, maybe.
The parents are like, we have one good kid. The other one could do what they.
That's actually a good point. Like, because my sister was like the goody two shoe of the family, I didn't feel the need to, like I'm allowed to be whatever,
I it's interesting. So I also have an older sister. She's 4 years older than me. And she was always like the good one in the family when I was growing up. Like she was the achiever. She was the one getting all the good grades and everything. And I wonder, but I mean, personally, I didn't grow up with that rebel mindset. I went the opposite way. I became the easygoing one, right? Like, oh, like she is the one who's charging ahead. I kind of fell into that, second born identity. So yeah, maybe it is true that it's just it's just nature. But when you first
part of it is nature. Part of it is nature, but to answer your question, like I think when I was I was in my late 20s, early 30s, what ended up happening is because this is less about like just speaking my opinion, because I've always been like I've yelled at my bosses and quit and all of that. So this is less about that, but it's more about I always thought I wasn't smart enough, or I wasn't talented enough, or like I had this imposter syndrome, right? Um, and I think like in my late 20s, like working in corporate, one of the things that I realized is that uh, it's it's not that I'm not smart enough, it's that everyone else acts like they're smarter than they are. So it's the perfect example of this is like I read somewhere that like 70 something percent of people lie on their resume. Like I've never once lied on my resume. Like if I, you know how, like in our kind of jobs, like as a designer, you put like, um, out of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself like in terms of your skill in Photoshop or
Mhm.
Illustrator or HTML, like those kind of things. And I would answer like really accurately, right? But I found out that like everybody just like over, like if they know, if they use JavaScript once, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I know JavaScript." You know what I mean?
They know how to write the phrasing, right? Like master JavaScript at this age. Yeah.
Yeah, like something like that, right? So that's kind of what I, working in the corporate world.
Mm.
At first, I felt like an imposter, but the more I stayed in the corporate world, more I realized like actually these guys are just as dumb as me, if not dumber,
Mm.
right?
They're the real
And
imposters, right? By
yeah,
definition, they're actually the
yeah,
ones who are
yeah,
lying on their
yeah,
resume.
exactly. And even like it wasn't even like people that were at my level. It was like executives. Like one time, so I had an IT job where I was fixing computers,
Mhm.
like um like the help desk. And one time I was like fixing this, like I was in this like I think he, if he's not the CEO, he was like the C COO, right?
Mhm.
And I was at his office fixing his computer, and he was talking about like uh you know, with some of the other executive, like going to their beach house and like smoking weed and all of that. I'm like, oh shit, you smoke weed? And like we started talking, and then like at that time I was like, I was actually selling weed to some people in the office because this is in New York before weed was legal.
I love the story already. Keep going. Okay.
Yeah, so he was like, "Can you get me some?" And then like I ended up like kind of becoming like, because I had a connection, like I had a delivery guy that come to my house, so I started like buying weed for this guy, and yeah, he would say like, yeah, this guy was like 50 years old. His kids are in high school, and he's like, yeah, like we usually at home, like after the kids go to bed, me and my wife would go to the go for a walk in the park and smoke a joint, and I'm like, oh my god, like it doesn't matter if you're the COO, CEO, executives, or whatever. Like humans are humans at the end of the day. It's kind of like
Mm.
I started to uncover, like, okay, at the end of the day, like we're like, you know,
Hmm.
everyone's a human. Like we all have to stand there naked at some point. You
Hmm.
know.
I love the story because it is such a reframe, right? I think personally, like I had to go through this myself,
Mhm.
especially as I was getting the book was starting to get a little bit more recognition. I was getting people reaching out to me. And I remember talking to um I was talking to my therapist at the time. And I was like, at the time, I think there was somebody huge. It was Vicky. Before, actually, though, this was before my book. Before my book, I was like putting out videos. And then at the time, Vicky Tai, who is the founder of Tatcha, which is this like massive brand, slid into my DMs basically and sent me a message and was super nice. She was like, "Hey, so my name is Vicky. I'm the founder of Tatcha, and I did this research study on Asian Americans, and I did this study at Harvard. Do you want me to send it to you?" And I was like, "Yes." And we just decided like, oh, let's hop on a call, we'll chat. And I remember bringing this up at the time. I was still like, okay, I'm pretty confident most of the time. Like if you throw into any situation, I'm really confident. But it just felt so momentous. And my
Mm.
therapist was just like, she's a human. Like she wakes up feeling like you in all the human ways. Like she's just a human. She has her insecurity. She has whatever it is. And it took me time to kind of realize that, yeah, at the core of the day, whoever I'm talking to, no matter what their accomplishments are, like they're human. They're just that. Is that similar to your viewpoint when you kind of like
Yeah,
go into
yeah,
these bigger audiences? Yeah.
yeah. That's kind of like in my late 20s, I started realizing that, and I started to get more confidence. And I think it took a few years, but like around that time is when I stopped talking like, because you know we all talk one way with our friends, and then
Yeah.
we go to work and be like, oh yeah, SAP and all this like corporate language when we're at work.
Yeah.
Like we want to be professional, and then like
Yeah.
You know, when you're on YouTube, be like, "What's up, everybody?" You
Yeah.
know, like
Or
I
even
mean, to
just
a certain
now,
degree,
what's up, Big Asian Energy? Yeah.
yeah.
You have your
I mean, to a
performance
certain
voice.
degree, I think that's normal because, like, obviously, I'm not going to talk to a 6-year-old kid like I talk to like my grandma, right? Like, obviously, depending on the audience, we have to switch it up. But I think I was like, I almost felt like I was living a double life because, like, with my friends, like my college friends that we used to like party with and stuff like that. Like, I'm at home like hitting my bong and playing video games, and then at work I'm all professional. And I think that's when I started to kind of like switch, where I didn't have this two double life. Like, I started showing like how I am in my normal life at work, and then vice versa, right? And so it took a years for me to just kind of be okay with just being myself wherever I go. Doesn't matter like who I'm talking to, like you said. Uh, even if you're like now, I think even if I'm standing in front of the president of the United States, I don't think I would treat him any differently than
Mm.
than I treat my friends, right?
Mm.
But more important than that, like more and more, I started to realize like this wasn't just a one time. Like almost everything we learn in life, we don't just like when one of the things like when I teach storytelling and I do storytelling for clients, like people think that like, oh, there was this aha moment and then like the cloud split and like there was a come to Jesus moment and like life changed forever. Like there's this like this big life event, but it never happens like that, right? Like a lot of these aha moments are like, it doesn't even seem like aha moment at the moment. It's like, oh, that's interesting, right? But
Yeah.
it keeps happening over and over and over, and it happens repeatedly. And then after that repetition, you start, it's like, okay, maybe this is how life is, right? And for me, that was one of those moments, and it still happens today. Like every time, you know how they say, don't meet your heroes.
Mm.
Like every time, like when I work with Mel Robbins, I was like such a fangirl or a fanboy or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like Jay Shetty, like
Yeah.
all these
Huge.
people, but then you work with them, you meet them, you work with them, you're like, okay, you're just you're not this like glorified like character that I thought you were gonna be, like.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the same thing. It keeps happening over and over and over. So now it just becomes more reinforced now.
So what I'm hearing is it's like recognizing their humanity as you're kind of getting to know them and seeing that. But I mean, one of the things you talk about in Authentic as Fuck is posting things that is your own beliefs, that is, real things from you. Like having that. I love that story of character consistency, because I actually think it's really hard. We don't really understand that authenticity is just like, does my friend from my, ping pong league, I'm not on the ping pong league. It was, I don't know why this is like, why are my examples so stereotyped? If my friend in ping pong league were to see me at work, they will be like, yeah, this is exactly the same version of John that I've seen elsewhere. My wife would not be surprised. No one would be surprised when there's that, because we do so much code switching. And I think especially as immigrants, we practice that code switching even more. Like we have our like white friends from work voice, and then we have a like Asian friend's voice. I think this is something that does come up. Did you never have this? Were you always consistent across all the various things?
No, I definitely wasn't. Like I said, I felt like I was living a double life.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I was the opposite of that. It's just but it took. I don't think it's something you can just change overnight. Like it just you have to be aware of it after
Let's practice.
like here's the thing, right? Like I remember like my boss made like an Asian joke, which I thought was like pretty elementary joke, right? It was like it wasn't that I was offended or anything like that, but I didn't think it was funny.
Yeah.
But I remember like laughing, like like
Going
and
along with it, yeah.
but yeah, and I just feel like I've kind of betrayed myself there because not because he said an Asian joke, but because like I laughed at a joke that I didn't actually find funny. And I did it as it's like a people pleasing mechanism, right? Like I did it because of my boss, right? And every time something that happens, you feel like a little bit of you die inside.
Yeah.
And you do that long enough, like before you know it, you're not even going to recognize who you are, And I was kind of like living like that in my 20s, I think we all do, because like I think it starts at puberty, right? Like when we're in school, we want to be part of the cool kids. Like I'm just not naturally very socially cool. So I was always like the awkward, very like I don't think I'm autistic, but I was awkward, and I wasn't really like I don't have a high EQ. So but one thing I was good at was awareness. So what I would do is I would watch every little thing that other kids do, right? So like one of the things I noticed is like all the cool kids, like in the 90s at least, like cool kids will only wear their backpack with just one arm,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
one
The
shoulder,
one
right?
strapper.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
of
I
course.
started doing that.
Yeah,
And then
all the
like
nerds do
when
two strappers. Yeah.
exactly, or like the really cool kids will leave their backpack in the locker and they'll just carry the books in their arm. Like there's these like little things that I notice, and I would just copy it, right? So obviously at as early as that, like I started to mimic how other people are and try to fit in and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think from puberty all the way till like for some people rest of their life, like we do that, and I catch it myself, like sometimes, you go to these events and or a brunch or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, like I haven't seen you forever. Like we should definitely do this again. Like I have no intention of doing this again. But we,
But you say it, right? You're supposed to
yeah, when
say
we
it.
say
Yeah.
it, and it's like, and you become a little more aware of that. Like the more you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And it's, it literally feels like I'm betraying myself more and more and more. And then I think once you start becoming aware of it, you start to change. And then years later, before you know it, you're like authentic as fuck. You're like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
This is such a key thing. So for me, I went through the process of, I had a similar realization. I was just very similar. I was like, every time that I was doing those things, like laughing at a joke that wasn't funny, going along with a decision that I didn't really believe in, and it felt like I was giving a part of me away, until in the end, I'm like, who am I? Like, what are my actual beliefs? What are my actual preferences? And this was a very big one, because I think growing up, I was always conditioned to believe that, it's respectful to cater to others around you. But at a certain point, kind of like what you pointed out, like there's a difference between, I would say, healthy respect and self-diminishment, which comes from insecurity, which comes from self-worth.
Yeah.
And I feel
That's
like
true.
for a lot of us, there's either one of two paths. One is either you go through something really extreme that like completely cracks you open, like a breakup, oftentimes one of those things, or like a loss of a job. And you kind of go like, I need to re-examine everything in my life. Or you do it slowly, just through practice. And you're like, wait a second, I don't know why I keep doing this. I'm just going to keep repeating. So for me, like I went and I did a year of radical honesty. That was really life-changing. I did like 1,000 stranger approaches. That was one of the things that I did early on in my 20s to get over my fear
That's
of
a good one.
meeting people. It's just exposure therapy, right? Because like it's after you start and you're like, oh, everything's still okay. Like I said this thing, I said how I really feel, and everyone was okay with it. And you go, okay, maybe next time I could take another step further.
The first time is the hardest, huh?
The first time is always. So this is like,
I agree with you about the whole, because like you can't take it too far that you become like an asshole, right? Like you're like, those people that are like, like, I don't mean to be an asshole, but I'm just telling the truth. Like I'm just being honest, right? Like those type of people.
Yeah.
But what I found is that actually, like, it's really intent. Like if you're genuine, like if you're genuinely a kind person and you care about somebody, and you are just being completely honest and open, it won't come out like an asshole. On the flip side, you can be like the most polite and most like empathetic, like you can be the most polite person that are trying to be like not to cause trouble or whatever, but if you have that intent, like it'll come out passive aggressive. And so I really think that it's all about the intent. Like I tell people, like, don't worry about coming off as an asshole, like by being too honest or too authentic, because if you genuinely aren't an asshole, you won't come up as an asshole. And if you do come up as an asshole, that means you're an asshole, and you got to fix that, right?
Then people would tell you.
yeah, exactly. Like you can, I feel like you can always tell. like with authenticity. And it's not like a lot of people pick and choose authenticity, like the person that are like, oh, I don't mean to offend you, but those type of people, like they're picking and choosing authenticity, because being authentic is actually not easy at all. I'll give you an example, right? Like in the stuff that we talked about, that those are the easy case scenarios. But I remember, like, when I started my agency, we were losing money. We were like in debt, in the red, like sleeping out of our office, and we were having some tough time. And I had to take on more projects, just to like get the cash flow going, right? And like we were just like living paycheck to paycheck, but in terms of our business, right? And I had a client who kept checking in on me. He's like, hey, is that project ready? It's like what's the progress? And like I would keep lying to him, and I'll be like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, everything's under control. We just have some server issue, that's why I couldn't send you what we have. Like, and one day we were on the phone, and he just straight up like asked, like, can you just show me what you have? Like, I don't care if it's not done.
Yeah.
Can you just show me what you have? And I was like
Damn.
completely caught off guard, because I haven't even started.
Oh
At that point,
no.
I've just been lying to him. So
Yeah.
like it shows up in things like being authentic can actually cause you to lose business. It can actually cause you to maybe like somebody to break up with you. Like it can actually it can have real life impact, right? Well, what happened was, I actually, at that time, I told him straight up. I said, the truth is, like, we're having some cash flow issue. We're like
Oh wow.
barely surviving. That's why I had to take on some more projects, and that's why your project is delayed. Like, do you want to fire us?
Damn.
And then he actually said, son, like, no, why would I fire you? Now I know I can trust you to tell me the truth, right? And then he actually gave us like a $5,000 bonus, which was like a huge help. And then just to like keep the doors open. So like early on in my business, I started to, because like people always come to me like, son, yeah, it's easy to say you're authentic in your content or whatever, but I work in a law firm, or I work in a corporate environment where I can't do that. I'm like, trust me, you can do it. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what environment you are, you're dealing with humans. And when you're being completely honest and vulnerable with them, they're going to understand you, right? Yeah, there's going to be like that small percentage of people that won't, like some narcissist or some sociopath who doesn't care. But for the most part, like 95% of people will understand you, and it does work 95% of the time.
I like that. Yeah, the realization that honesty won't actually take away from everything, I think that's important. Sometimes it might cause problems, but like,
Yeah, we've lost business
so
because of
would
it.
lying.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you could easily just been like, no, everything is fine. I just, give me a couple more days, and he might have been like, no, this is bullshit. Like, there's something that you're not telling me, and I don't know what it is. I don't have time to deal with it.
Well, that actually reminded me that, because I'm sure you've experienced this too. You don't see this when you're an employee, but when you start hiring people, you start to realize that most people are actually like that. They are kind of like the version of me that was like, oh, everything's under control, right? And I noticed that, like, I almost never meet an Asian employee that aren't like that. Almost every Asian employee I hire, they always like try to kind of cover up messes, and like even though like there might be emergency, something went wrong, or client's not happy, but they'll try to cover it up because they think that it's a reflection on them, right? It's a reflection, like, so it's like, oh, I'll ask them like, how's everything going? It's like, oh yeah, everything's good. We're everything's under control. The project's going great, and they think that that's what bosses want to hear. But over the years, what I realized, that like that's the last thing I want to hear. Like, because I've had some employees, like this is the minority, like small minority, who would just straight up tell me if something's going wrong, right? And I can trust them, and I can go in and I can help them fix it. But with a lot of Asian employees, a lot of things, what ends up happening is, like, they don't tell me right away, and they hide this because they don't want to come off as like incompetent or something like that.
Yeah.
And later on it becomes a bigger problem, and they're like, and maybe they fix it or they figure out a way to do it, but now they've been working their ass off, and they've built some resentment. They're like, oh, why am I doing this for my job? Like they're like living in their head, right? When
Mhm.
if you just came to me early on, we could have just fixed this for you, right?
Yeah, within 5 minutes.
So
Now it's like a
yeah,
massive project that we have to like redo or something.
yeah. So most business owners, because like a lot of my friends are business owners. Like they don't want that. They don't want you to be the yes man.
Hmm.
They actually want you to be the one to give the. They're gonna trust the one that gives them the bad news first. Like if
Interesting.
all I hear from you is good news, then I don't know if I can trust you.
That's a very good
you know?
point. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, because I don't want to just know how everything's going to turn out in the end. I want to see how you're developing. I want to see
Yeah,
all the little parts of it so I could best know how to support you. And obviously, if you're here, it's because I value you. I value your skills.
yeah,
I value your capabilities. So you don't need to keep proving yourself to me. This is
yeah, yeah,
key,
yeah. That's yeah,
right? Like I feel like this is the thing. I was talking to a client recently, and this is what we're talking about. There's this like proving energy. Like you're still going to all these conversations trying to prove something. Like we're in the conversation already. We're here because we see the value.
yeah. It's
So
so inefficient.
I want to change this like the direction of this to more public facing stuff, because like you're right, like in a workplace, especially if you have a decent relationship with your workplace, like it's important to just cultivate that of like, what if I was just much more honest about the failures as well as the wins, and see that and how that turns out, and build that trust. But I feel like it's different on social media, right? Like you deal with people on social media and you're known to be like the unapologetic guy. You just put things out there without disclaimers. But isn't it scary? Like, do you ever like post something and you're like, oh shit, like what if people take this the wrong way? Like, what if the
Yeah, a
response
little
is
bit.
angry?
A little bit, but it's probably like when you did talking to stranger thing, right?
Oh yeah,
Like the first time it's gonna be scary as fuck,
so scary.
and then like 100th time, it's still gonna be a little bit scary,
Yeah, it never stops
but you're
being
gonna get
scary.
over it very like maybe for a second, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, maybe before I hit that post button, maybe like people are probably gonna hate this, but whatever, boom, right? Like so, it's just like through repetition. I just think it gets easier, and yeah, like a better example is like if you're a business owner, right? Like
yeah,
yes, from the employee's point of view, you're already hired, blah blah blah.
yeah,
But what if you're going to a sales meeting? Because
yeah,
I've had this too. Like I'm going to a sales meeting, and in the beginning, I think I had that like trying to prove myself energy.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
prove myself, trying to justify our pricing and all of these things. And that wasn't helpful at all. Actually, I found out this accidentally. Like we got to a point where we were so busy. We had 3 months of um, work like in our pipeline, so we couldn't even take on new project.
Hmm.
And when clients would like reach out to people, new clients will reach out to us, I would just straight up tell them like, "Sorry, we can't take this on right now. Like we're booked for 3 months." And they're like, "Oh, it's okay. We'll wait." and then like so I actually by rejecting clients,
Huh.
we ended up getting more sales. Like and it got to a point where I'm like, okay, first of all, to work with us, it's a minimum of $60,000 engagement. So can you afford that? And can you
Yeah,
wait three months?
yeah.
And if you want to start working with us in 3 months, you have to pay us today so that we can
Mm.
work with it. So like I put in all of the obstacles, and the
Mm.
more obstacles I put in, the more they wanted to work with me. Because
Mm.
but like now I think about it, it makes sense, right? Like they're reaching out to all these agencies and everybody's like kissing their ass, like
Yeah.
acting desperate, trying to like prove themselves. And here comes this guy who's like, I don't need you, right? Like in their
Mm.
mind, they're probably going like, oh, this guy must be really good,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but like it's hard to do it at that point. If I can kind of see if I'm a freelancer and I have to pay my rent this month,
Hmm.
and I don't have money in the bank, and I
Hmm.
need to close this project, and I'm in that meeting, I'm gonna get into that desperate mode. You know what I mean? So it's easier said than done, I think.
Mm.
Like so
But
for those people, go
mhm.
ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to ask, but for those people, is there still a way for them to still be in that kind of authenticity and honesty that maybe is not as direct? Is that what you would suggest?
Yeah, I
Or
think
still be
I was gonna say, like, you have to put, like, life is a strategy, so you have to. The reason why you're in that place is because you strategically put yourself there. So if you have to first strategically get yourself out of there. Like, I see these people starting businesses, and like, if you're worried about, because we were there, like,
Mhm,
we were like struggling for cash, and in that desperate place in the
mhm,
beginning, actually had to realize that and say, okay, for the and I actually like made a pact with my wife. Like, okay, for the next year, all we're gonna do is focus on making as much money as possible and saving as much money as possible until
uh-huh,
we have 1 year of runway to run this business, even if we get zero clients, right? So, and we actually got there pretty quickly. Like, it took us 6 months to get there. But like, if I were to start all over again, what I would probably do is, like, I would stay in my job, save up enough money so that I have an year of runway, so I can go out and I don't have to be desperate. I can be myself. I can, like, so I would put myself in that kind of situation. So if I was that
mm,
person, what I would do is, instead of, like, yeah, you can freelance on the side, but have a day job that's going to pay your bills, so you're not worried about, you know being desperate,
mm.
like, because that's like going to a casino and then trying to make your rent money on
Oh god,
on a
yeah.
bet, right? Like, it's like, have that safety net already built
Mm.
strategically in your life, so that you can go out and have a little bit of fuck you money, right? So that you
Mm,
can go out and be yourself, right? So
mm,
I think a lot of the reason why people can't afford to be authentic is because they put themselves there, right? Instead of, like, you know, living in a modest 1-bedroom apartment with a modest car. Like, as soon as
mm,
they get a raise, they go out
mhm.
and, you know,
Lifestyle
they
creep,
have to
yeah,
buy their nice cars and
yeah.
their nice bags, and, like, don't do that. Don't put yourself in that situation.
Which I think is so funny because when you really examine it, I mean, those things, conspicuous consumption, right? Like, buying things that have those kind of brand names is a very common thing, I feel like, in a face culture. And
That's
in and
true.
of itself, there's something about that is kind of like personal brand. Like, they're trying to elevate their own brand, right? They're like, check out my new Beamer, like, check out my LV bags. Like, even though they might still be struggling making rent, but like, that lifestyle inflation is part of wanting to be seen as that way.
Mm, yeah,
The irony behind
yeah.
it.
That's true. Like, that's all part of being inauthentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to come to the social media part because, I mean, personally, I think it's one of the biggest topics these days. It's impossible not to have a personal brand in some way, right? Like, if you are in any industry, my personal belief, you have a personal brand whether or not you're aware of it. You have a personal brand on LinkedIn, you have a personal brand on a private call, by the way. You and I had a chat and I learned so much. I felt like that could have been a whole episode just on all the things I learned. But one of the things I love that you said was, your personal brand is not something that you like dictate. It just comes through. Like, people see it because it's how you show up time and time again. If you always end up talking about this is your personal brand. You could work with the world's greatest strategist. Sun could give you a whole like brand guide and everything like that. But at the end of the day, whatever you go to most commonly becomes your brand. So I think the question that a lot of people have these days, especially, influencers or people who want to build influencer following, they're probably spending a lot of time online looking at other people's brands. You work with a lot of influencers. What is the biggest mistake you constantly see, sometimes even before they're aware of it?
Yeah, the one thing I told you before, which is, like, they actively push away fame. They're like, oh
Yes.
no, I
Tell me
can't
more.
do that. I can't say that. Um, no, I can't show up like that on camera, and things like that. So that's one. And I think that a lot of people do it unknowingly. Like, a lot of people kind of repel fame and fortune,
Hmm.
like, subconsciously.
So clients
Yeah.
who came to you and said, "Hey, I'm looking for personal brand," and you would say, "This is, I need you to go make videos. I need you to go do this," and their
Yeah.
response is
Like, I
like,
need you to say, like, this because this is how you, because like I see them like in the meeting, right, and stuff like that, and this is how they normally talk, and this is what they get all heated about this topic,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I need you to say it like that on camera, and they're like, no, I can't do that. You
Interesting.
know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
So
So,
like,
they'll say to you in private, and they have that
mm,
energy, they have that passion, but as soon as they do it on camera, they're like, "No, I'm going to tone
yeah,
it down."
yeah, and it happens in like even in my community, like one of the most important things in storytelling is being vulnerable, and I know that like that word is kind of lost all its meaning.
Mm-hmm.
But like where I learned this is like when I was working with Mel Robbins, and she was telling a story about how she was like when she was going through bankruptcy with her old business that failed, like she would literally go to a grocery store, and in her mind, like there's no way this credit card's gonna go through. So
Wow.
she's standing there in line, coming up with excuses what she's gonna say when the credit card gets declined. Right, like so when she
Wow.
tells a story like that, right, something things like that, or like she was talking about like she couldn't every morning she couldn't like get her kids to school on time because like she was like drinking all night, and she couldn't wake up in time, and every night she's like, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up early, and then she doesn't, and so she tells all these vulnerable stories, and the thing is most people don't want to tell that part of the story. But
Hmm.
what ends up happening is when you tell a story like that, because those are so vulnerable, and they're not even huge things, right? They're like small little things
Mm-hmm.
that nobody's ever saying it out loud. So, but a lot of people they've experienced something similar before.
Hmm.
So what ends up happening is, you know how when you tell somebody a secret, right? You tell somebody a secret that only two of you know, it immediately forms a bond between you two. It's like, oh my gosh, you too, me too. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like we're the only ones like in this world of like these perfect people. We're the two
Mm-hmm.
people that understand this, right? When you tell stories like that on social media, what's happening is you're doing that on massive scale. Because like people will hear that story, is like, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one
Hmm.
that went through that, but you went through that too. Oh, and it immediately forms a bond where you're like, oh, we're the same people, right?
Mm-hmm. There's a
Something
connection.
like that. So yeah, being vulnerable is, I don't know why I brought up this story.
I think you were talking about what is it that really build, like what does authenticity essentially mean, especially for the clients who you're working with, and they're trying to build their brand or share their brand.
Oh yeah. So yeah, so a lot of people have these like things that they say in private
Yeah.
that they'll so sometimes like I'll jump on these one-on-one calls with people in my community and
Hmm.
like kind of coach them, and they'll tell me a story, and I'm like, wow, that was a really authentic and relatable story, right? Can you share that story on we meet every Sunday and um with the whole community, can you tell that story on Sunday service? And she's like, okay, yeah, sure. And then she'll go tell the story, and she'll leave out the most vulnerable like I'll give you an example. Like, so
Hmm.
she told a story about how like one time all her friends were going to the beach, and they were posting on Facebook, and she wanted to go to the beach, but she didn't want to ask them. So she just like sat there, and uh she sat there, and she just went to the beach, before they asked, and she went off to the side where they couldn't see her, and she was just sitting in the bench, like hoping that they're gonna text her and ask her. And then like one of her friend did, right? She's like, hey, you want to come to the beach? And all of a sudden she was like, oh no, oh, let me check my schedule, maybe. Like even though she's already there, she was like, so when she told that part, right? And then she pretended like she just like happened to have some time and went to the beach. So when she
Okay.
told that part of the story, I was like, oh my gosh, that's very vulnerable. That's like it's really embarrassing, vulnerable, and it's very
Yeah.
relatable.
Yeah.
But when I asked her to tell that story on Sunday in front of everyone, she completely left out that part. And this is just one example. This happens over and over and over again with people. A lot of times, like, the part that people leave out was actually the best part of the story, and it's the thing that would make you your brand. And that's why I think that's the biggest mistake people make, is that, like, almost everybody that I see are so charismatic. There's everyone I meet has some charismatic side to them. But then for some reason, the public version that they should put out, they put out the most uncharismatic part. Like, it's kind of like when you have a friend that's like single, and they go on a date, and then they'll like get rejected or whatever, and they come home, and all the friends are like, it's her loss or it's his loss,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they just don't know they don't know the real you. Like, if they just know the real you, they would love you, right?
Bullet
Well, it's
dodge.
because
Yeah.
because you didn't show the real you on, like, the people that the version of you that you show in the first date is like the opposite of the real you.
This
know what
is
I mean?
fascinating. Okay, because we usually assume it's the opposite. We assume that, like, no, like the polished version of us that we put out, that's, bubbly and extroverted or friendly or blah blah blah, but like that's the charismatic side. But it sounds like it's actually the opposite. Like, that's the boring side. Like, that's the safe
Yeah.
side. Nobody sees you in that way.
Yeah. I mean, like, your best friends don't see you that way, and the reason why they're your best friends is because they like that side, right?
Interesting. So do you have do you teach like a framework or a methodology for people to do that? Because I feel like the question people might have, or I might have, is like, one, nobody wants to hear me talk about how like the shitty things going on. And like, I don't want to go around trauma dumping on everyone else around them. Is there a way that you package these vulnerable
Yeah.
stories, or is the packaging
So
itself? Yeah.
so when people hear hero's journey, right? Like you said, trauma dumping, and you're exactly right. That's where people go first, right? So if I'm telling the story of, let's say, Lion King, right? But let's say I'm Simba. Let's say I was Simba and that happened to me, and I'm telling from that perspective. The way most people tell it is like, oh yeah, my Uncle Scar, like, we got into an accident. My Uncle Scar came, and he was being really mean, and then he told me to run, so I ran away, and then I lived like the Hakuna Matata, no worries, like, just live day by day, and you know, but I knew that, like, inside, that my uncle was wrong, and like I needed to fight back. So I went back, and I avenged my father by fighting my uncle's car. That's like the trauma dumping way of telling that story. It's basically saying that I'm dope, woe is me, all these things happened to me, all this trauma happened to me, but I overcame that trauma anyway, and I won. Right? That's
Right. There's a
like,
winners at the end. Like, and it was
yeah.
me.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I think people see hero's journey story. Like I read a story on Twitter, somebody saying like, oh yeah, I was young. When I was young, I was a weirdo, but I didn't care. Like, nobody wanted to hang out with me, but I didn't care. I just kept being me, and I
Yeah.
found other weirdos like me, and we formed our own tribe, right? But
Yeah.
the thing is, so that's like going from the victim to a hero, right? But
Yeah.
the way you have to structure your story is you have to go from victim to a villain before you can go to a hero. And when you tell a story like that, it will not come off as trauma dumping, because all the other version of the story that I told you is what I call a sob story. It's like, well, it's me. All of these things happened to me, all these like struggles, and then I overcame. And that's still like a sob story where, I was always the hero. I was victimized, right? But when you go from victim to villain to hero, that's how the Lion King story actually is, right? He was a victim. He ran away, and he's like Hakuna Matata until he bumped into Nala. That's the turning point of the story. And Nala's like, wake up, Simba, like, your mom is back home getting tyrannized in Pride Rock by your uncle, and you're sitting here like eating worms and Hakuna Matata, singing with
Yeah.
Timon and whatever. So that's when he realized that. That's when he goes to the water, see his dad, and realizes like, holy shit, I'm not the victim here. I'm the villain.
Oh,
I like
wow.
me being a victim. I'm actually being a villain in somebody else's story. So you first have to realize how you're the villain first, and then
Wow.
you make a decision to become a hero. And that's the part that most people don't do. Most people's story is, it's like the story that I was telling you about on Twitter, right? Like it, I was always different. I was always a weirdo, but
Hmm.
I don't care because I'm the victim.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. There's no part where it's like, what did you do wrong? How are you a villain in this story, right?
Yeah.
And and if that part is missing, then like it's gonna sound like you're trauma dumping. So like that's the part that like I don't know about that person's story, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but like the truth is probably something like, oh, I was a weirdo and nobody wanted to hang out with me, so I started like to dress like them. I just started to like the story that I told before, right? I
Mm-hmm.
started
Yeah,
to
yeah,
dress
yeah.
like them. I
Yeah.
try to like wear my bag like this, and I try to fit in.
Mm.
And then like I even like made fun of my own sister just to fit in, right?
Oh,
And I
no.
felt so bad for my sister, and this is like how now I'm realizing I'm a villain to my sister or something like that, just to be
Mm.
cool. And that's when I decided I was going to change and become a hero, right? And
Hmm.
just be myself. And I mean that's the story of Mean Girls, right? Like when, when Caddy like started to go after the Mean
Right.
Girls, but she ended up becoming one of the Mean Girls, right?
Yeah,
And
with the burn book, yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. So I mean, I think that's the real formula that I teach in terms of
Mm.
storytelling. Like, how are you the villain? Like, put yourself. One of the exercises that we do is write a story,
Yeah.
and now write the story again where you're the villain, or put yourself in the villain's shoes, or how are you the villain in this story. And when we do this exercise, like people come to a lot of big realization. Holy shit, like I didn't even realize it, but this is what I was doing, and this is how I was playing the victim, and this is
Wow. I freaking love this. I hear a lot of people talk about storytelling. I love books on storytelling. I love when people share these things. I've never heard the villain perspective, but it's true. I
yeah,
mean, in all of our stories, we've all been a villain in some ways. We just don't recognize ourselves as being a villain, like as an
yeah,
identity. We just kind of like we
yeah.
see the good in ourselves. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that Big Asian Energy is officially out, and you can go and pick it up anywhere you buy books, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, etc. If you've ever felt like there's something stopping you from reaching your full potential, if you've ever felt like you want to have that unstoppable charisma and confidence in the work that you do, as well as just the way you show up in life, this might be the book for you. It is a book that is jam-packed with research studies, advice, case studies, stories, and of course, so many different techniques and takeaways, including communication, as well as mindset, as well as confidence, and all the other topics out there. It just won one of the best books of 2025 on Amazon. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go take a look. And finally, if you have a few seconds, can I also ask you to leave a quick review for Big Asian Energy? It not only means the world to us to hear from you, but more importantly, it does absolutely help us in reaching more audiences. I hope you're having an amazing day, and thanks again. This is amazing. This framework that you use to share. I mean, do you teach this to people who are sharing on social media? I share stuff on social media. I find social media could be a grind sometimes because of exactly that. I think that one, it is so, everyone talks about authenticity, everyone talks about vulnerability, but it's never clear what those two things are, or really how do you do it in a way where you're not just, on there and being like, this is what I really think. We're just being an asshole. So when you work with your clients or even with your community and that topic comes up, how to show up for their own personal brands, do you have any suggestions or framework that you teach them?
Yeah, I mean, with my clients, it's a little bit different because like I'm doing it for them.
Sure.
So with our clients, like what I'll usually do is I'll hear all the stories that
Mm-hmm.
they tell me, and I'll try to look for a pattern. in the story? What's something that's keep repeating in all their stories, right?
Hmm.
Because usually that pattern tends to be like what they're about. Like,
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. Like I told you before, as soon as you said troublemaker, I'm like, oh shit, that's me, right? Some
I love
like
troublemakers.
when you hear these stories, like a good example is like, this is the kind of the brand story that we did for Mark Randolph, who's a
Yeah.
co-founder of Netflix, and he kept telling, like, I asked him like from his childhood all those stories, and he kept telling me about stories where he did something that he wasn't supposed to do, right, and keep getting in trouble for it, right. And one of the stories that he told us is like when he was in, I forgot, like middle school or high school or something,
Mhm.
like he pulled the lever for the fire hydrant and all the like sprinkles went off and the fire truck came and he got into
Mhm.
huge trouble for that, right. And that was like kind of symbolism for that was the repeating pattern in all of these stories. He's like, if there's a button, he has to push it. If there's a lever, he has to pull it. If there's a door, he has to open it, right? He
Do
just,
not press.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like such a big part of his, I guess, personality,
Yeah.
because when he first started Netflix, him and Reid Hoffman, when they used to work together and they wanted to
Yeah.
start a company, and they wrote down all this idea for a business.
Yeah.
And one of them was to, this is before the days of DVD. One of the idea was to ship DVD video rentals by
Yeah.
mail, but
Yeah.
it didn't. It turned out not to work because the cassette is too heavy and it's like the cost wouldn't like work.
Yeah.
But then when he first heard about the DVD, the first thing he did is he went to a store, got an envelope, put a CD into it, and he mailed him to himself. Like when he's curious about something, he just has to try it,
Yeah.
right? And he did that, and then it got delivered to him without being broken. He's like, oh, okay, like this can be a business, right? And that's how Netflix started. And I remember he was like giving advice to this tech in this school about this girl who was like, oh, I'm looking to raise $1 million. I want to build a site where people can rent out their closet, like rent their dress, prom
Mhm.
dress or
Mhm.
whatever, to
Mhm.
people who need it, like if they're not using it and
Mhm.
things like that. And the advice he gave her was like, you don't need to build a site. Like, I want you to grab a piece of paper and a Sharpie and write, do you need a dress? Knock on my door, and tape it outside of your dorm room to see if anyone knocks, because that's how you can test whether there's a market for this or not, right? So he's like the type of just person who just like, okay, let's just try it, see what happens.
Huh.
Let's just try this. Let's just push that button. Let's pull that lever. And you see like things like this, like, when you usually hear stories, everyone's stories, you see some sort of a pattern there, right? That's the
Mm.
thing that makes them them. And usually what ends up happening is a lot of people see their personality as a flaw. Like, that's my weakness. Oh, I'm too
Mhm.
naive.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm too stubborn, or whatever it is. They usually see it as a flaw, and they don't want to be that. So what they do is when they go on their first date or they show up online, that's why they show the opposite version of that. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm.
Because they think
Yeah.
this is a weakness, right? But your weakness and strength are two sides of the same coin. Like, the same thing that got him in trouble for pulling the lever and getting into trouble is the same thing that made him successful too in business, right? For me, I remember like when I was young,
Yeah.
um, before we jumped in the call, you were like, "Thank you so much. You're so generous with your
Yeah. Yeah.
time and things like
Yeah.
that." When I was in Korea, I was like 10 years old.
Uh-huh.
My dad paid me and my sister $5 each to wash the car.
Okay.
And my sister was like, "Cook, cook, cook." She was quickly done and went inside.
Of course.
I sat there for 2 hours, like washing every detail, getting like little Q-tips, making everything perfect. And I took the $5 that my dad gave me and bought an air freshener for the car.
Okay.
So like I basically, but that's just the kind of person I am, right? Like,
Wow.
if I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something, like I don't really care about the money. I'm just gonna do it all the way. I'm gonna,
Mm.
do the best job as possible, right? And
Mhm.
my mom, you know, and that's a repeating thing that happens in my life. Like,
Hmm.
and my mom throughout my whole life was like, son, like you're always letting people take advantage of you. You should never start a business because if you start a business, you're too naive and you are gonna fail, right? And when I started my business, the same thing happened. Like in the beginning, I spent 9 months building a website that somebody paid me $1,700 for. So I made
Wow.
$1,700 in 9. But this website was probably at that time like one of the most, like it was built on Yahoo. This is before e-commerce, before Shopify, before any of that. I built like a custom e-commerce website for this small mom and pop shop that was like at the on par with like Macy's.com or Gap.com, right? And then I spent the next project. I got $3,000, and it took me 3 months. So it's better, but still
Yeah.
not that much better, right?
Yeah.
But those two websites on our portfolio like launched my career because people saw those websites. And like from
Mm.
there, my next website was $17,000, or
Mhm.
my next website after that was 10,000, and it was 17, and it just kept going up and up and up. And like if you look at kind of my brand and like our agency and things like that, that's probably the best thing I could have. The thing that I thought was my biggest flaw, my weakness,
Mhm.
actually turned out to be my biggest strength. It's because I go over and beyond in everything that I do.
Mm.
Like our whole brand got built on top of that. Like even in like in our community and like with my content, people are like, son, you give out so much for free and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's actually the reason why I was able to grow so fast. And
Mm.
it's how I was able to grow my brand. And it's the same thing. Like when Gabby first came to us, like she couldn't afford to pay us like our regular price. Like she could afford to pay us, but not our like at the regular price that we were charging
Mm.
Fortune 500 companies, right? So
Mhm.
we actually took a loss taking on that project, but
Really?
I ended up spending double the time to do that project because I loved her and her brand so much.
Mhm.
And when we launched that website, like she got featured in all these blogs that are like top 10 best personal brand websites, and that actually like started our like made us like one of the top personal branding agencies. So
Hmm.
actually being naive and going over and beyond,
Yeah.
which my mom thought was my biggest weakness, actually turned out to be my biggest strength in building my brand. So like that's kind of like what I'm looking for when somebody's telling a story, like somebody's coming up with what their brand is, what their brand story is, what their brand message is.
Hmm.
I'm trying to see, okay, what is your biggest weakness that you are afraid to show, and how is
Hmm.
that actually your biggest strength? And don't
How,
be
how,
unapologetic about that.
sorry, I want to ask this because this is such a mind fuck of a concept. How do you know when you're looking like how do you take a weakness? Like if somebody asks me what's my weakness, I'm like
Mm,
I'm like I have so many weaknesses. Like I'm a total
mhm,
mess. Like if it weren't for my wife, I
mhm,
can't manage most of my life. I'm terrible at math.
mhm.
I have terrible memory. I'm like those aren't brand. Those
Yeah.
aren't-
Well, that those are usually like the creative people are like that. So like creative people are very impulsive.
yeah,
They go with the flow.
I
They're
have
not
shiny
very like
object syndrome.
exactly. So like I'm like that, so that I can tell you. So when you work on a project that's very organized and planned out well,
Yeah,
and you just follow these plans,
yeah,
that's kind of what a lot of like Fortune 500 companies want, right?
yeah,
I don't need you to be innovative or do something out of like something. I don't want you to take any risks.
yeah.
Just do the boring thing how it's supposed to be done, and just get the job done on par. That's all I want, right? On time, on par, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like my wife too. She's like she loves to-do lists, like meeting deadlines and
Mm-hmm.
blah 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 blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. Like I'm a procrastinator. I'm not like that.
See.
Like so many times I'll be like halfway through a project or even more, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, no, I got a better idea. Like we're scratching this and we're starting over. Right. And then that's how we actually end up making masterpieces, right? Something that nobody's ever thought of. Because like sometimes like you have to go halfway into a project to realize actually that this isn't the best way, because you learn things as you're working on the project, and you learn new things about the project, and you learn new things about the industry and things like that. And I'm like, actually, you know what, we this is not the best way to do this. Let's do this. And now you have a decision to make, right? You have an organized person like your wife will be like, yeah, but let's just, since we planned it, let's just finish the project as it is, right? And you are the type of person that will come in and be like, no, like we can't be mediocre with this. Like we got to do it all the way. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like everybody has those personalities, and so it can be a strength or weakness. Like that's an example. And like me and my wife, we're the same way. So it's great because we work together. We're business partners. We can
She's
actually
great, by the way.
yeah.
I still remember meeting her at the party, and like the way she was so smooth. The way she's like, okay, but you're going to talk to this person next, and this person next, and this person next. Like she has
okay, that was a perfect example.
Yeah.
If you left me, if she didn't do that, I would have talked to one person the whole night. Because that's how I am. I like to go deep into a conversation, and I like to, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a networking type of person.
Yeah.
So,
Which
but
is so great.
thanks,
yeah.
Thanks to her, I ended up talking to like 5-6 different people, right? And if it was just her, what she would have done was she would have talked to 50 different people. Like she would have talked to every single person for like 1 minute each.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like there, so we find a good balance there, you know. And in our business, it's the same thing.
I love that. Okay, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to have one final question, and that.
By the way, I will give you a tip just to more clear answer for your question before. Whatever your weakness is, type it into Thesaurus or ChatGPT, and say, like, if you say I'm all over the place, right, or I'm this unorganized, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's another word for unorganized, right? And what, like, if it's ChatGPT, you can actually say what's like the positive way of saying unorganized, right? And you'll start to see what your strengths are. And here's another caveat. Sorry.
Yeah.
Most of the time, when you said, "Oh, I have so many weaknesses," right? I guarantee you, most of those weaknesses are not your real weakness, because whenever I ask somebody for their weakness, everybody says, "Oh, I'm a perfectionist. I'm a people pleaser. I'm procrastinator, and I'm, you know, like." There's like the set of things that everybody's bad at, right? Like that,
universal,
and they think that's their weakness, but it's not really true. Because like you have to stress test it, because like I was asking somebody who said they were really stubborn, right? But she also said she's a people pleaser. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, like with my boss, I'll just whatever he wants, we'll give it to him, or clients, or whatever it is. And I asked her, like, are you like that with your mom, or are you like that with at home? Because usually the version of you, how you are with your closest friends, where you feel the safest, how you are, that's the real you. The version that you put in front of your clients and your boss, that's actually all the weakness that comes out of there. That's actually not the real you. The only people that really see your true weakness are the people that are the closest to you. And when my mom used to say, "Son, you're so naive. Like, you should never start a business because you're like, you know, people are gonna take advantage of you." I used to actually get defensive. I'm like, "What? No, I'm not. I'm not naive. I'm a shrewd businessman," or whatever it is, right? So a lot of times, like the things that people closest to you say about you, you're gonna try to deny it because you don't like that person. That's how you know it's a true weakness.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? And that's why, like, when you go in front of your boss or what on the first day, you're putting on this mask to hide that thing. But in reality, that's the real weakness. So that's something I like to throw in there, because like a lot of times when people do this exercise, they get that wrong. You know?
That is very true, because what is it that we're most comfortable facing, right? Those things that we usually list as weaknesses, they're part of the facade that we put up. They're
Yeah.
part of the personal brand we think we're supposed to put out there, right? Like they're things that we have come to accept. But until it's something you look at and you're like, I don't really want to face that. Like I don't like fine, that's actually my biggest weakness. Like those are the things that are
Yeah.
there.
That's your real weakness. Yeah.
And then how do we
The ones
turn
that
that
are like a little bit
into
embarrassing.
yeah. So there's so much here that I want to dive into, and if for anyone who's listening, I'm just going to say go check out Sun's content. He's on all the social medias, and there's so much there. There's so much depth. Like he really does give away so much gems for free. If you had to just simplify it down to like when you're working, or even just advice for somebody who's just starting to build a personal brand or anything like that, what is the most kind of like, here's the real thing you need, not the bullshit like a billion other personal brand quote unquote experts on Instagram is trying to feed you?
Mm.
Like what are the three things, or like the whatever steps that you should really start with? Because I hear it all the
Well,
time, like niche down, like choose your niche, and what is the real thing?
those are all correct, but
Put
you should niche down.
out a $7.99 ebook for download.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's tactics and there's okay, so like tactics are all marketing tactics that works, right?
Yeah.
So like you want to be, if you're if you're good at persuasion, that's what marketing is. Like you're good at persuading somebody to buy or something like that. But you know, Hitler was persuasive. Do you know what I mean? So the brand is not about how good you are at persuading. Like that, those are the tactics, right?
Yeah.
Like it's your brand is okay. Now, if I can learn these skills of storytelling, persuading, and marketing, like what is the actual message that I want to use this tool to put out there? Like that's your brand. Do you know what I mean? So that's the thing that you have to think about it. And most likely that's gonna be the things that we talked about, like, you know, like how you live, like your weakness, how you turn your weakness into strength, how you solve these, like the beliefs that you have, right? Because what's gonna happen is when you talk about your beliefs, there's gonna be people out there who shares the same weakness as you, that also faces the same problems. So your beliefs will resonate with them. And then there's going to be people out there who's more like your wife, who has like a different personality, right? And they're like, oh, that doesn't really resonate with me. I don't, you know, what you're saying isn't really true for me, right? So that's why I'm able to say something as a matter of fact, as if it is the truth, right? Like, so something I say, like one of the things I say is like I don't like manipulative marketing, right? And but that's not true for everyone. Like for some people, it works well, whatever. Like if that's you do you, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying, you know, it's not okay. Here's another one. Here's one thing that like me and Crystal, I think, probably disagree with. Like I actually think just like you and your wife are different, and you guys are good, you know, good combination. Like me and my wife, we're like that. Like I excel in this and she's the opposite of me. That's why we work well together. I actually think a lot of creative people out there are like me, where they have their strength, but there are some weaknesses here, which is like the business side, the operation, the, you know, things like that. And I do think you should partner up with somebody who's has that strength, and then, you know, you can balance each other out, right? I think Chris's mindset is more like, hey, you're creative, you should learn this side. And you should, you know, you like I actually don't agree with that, because I don't think that's, you can try to learn this side all you want, you're just never going to be as good as somebody who's that by
Just
nature,
their
you
natural
know?
thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So then somebody's going to listen to these two messages, and some people are going to resonate with me this way, and some people are going to resonate with this, right? So that's the thing that you're really selling. It's this is I'm not saying that he's wrong. I think he's right, and a lot of people have proved that he's right. But for my people, it's wrong. Dave Ramsey is a good one, right? Because Dave Ramsey says debt is bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, obviously, that's not true, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of people who made a lot of money from debt, like
Yeah.
by using debt, by taking out a
Leveraging.
mortgage or whatever it is, right? Well, the reason why he says that is bad is because most people are too emotional. So when they take out a debt or something like that, they end up putting themselves in jeopardy because they make a lot of emotional decisions, and they can't logically like build wealth on debt. So that's why he pushes cash, because not because it's the right answer, but it's the right answer for most people who are too emotional with money. For you know what I mean? So so that's kind of your real brand. Your brand is, what is your take? What is your opinion on this topic? Right? And a lot of people, they don't even know that they're actually all over the place. Like, just because this person said this, I'm saying it. This person said this, I'm saying it. And they don't even realize that those actually go against each other. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. I totally understand that. Like, there's people, like, they'll look at other people's, Instagram pages or whatever, and they're like, oh, I really like that, I really like that, I really like that, and then they end up trying to do everything. They end up doing 16 different types of things. That's 16 different messages, and it gets really messy. So it sounds like what you're really suggesting is for people to just kind of slow down and like go back internally and identify what it is that their core message is. I remember one of the things that you say, and I think I probably have got an email or something like that from you, is that's like, say the same thing 1,000 times, right? Like, when you can master saying one thing 1,000 times, that's what that branding is.
Yeah. Like, one of the things that I believe in is like I'm really against the whole I think manipulative marketing tactics. So like, there are certain things that works, right? Like, for example, like limited time, like fast
Yeah.
action bonus,
Yeah. 12 hours
like
left.
the countdown, and like all of those things. Yes, I'm not going to deny that it doesn't work. I guess what I'm going to say is, if you build a strong enough brand and trust, you actually don't need to rely on those type of tactics, because a lot of times what ends up happening is, and again, if anybody is like doing this, I'm not saying that they're wrong. Great, they're making money, and here's the thing, right? Like, if you are running a business, so if making profit is like your highest number one priority at all cost, obviously that's the right answer. That's what I'm going to say, right? There's things you can do, like there's it's my job actually, like in my agency, like there's like so many little psychological things. Like, for example, on your homepage, you should have a photo of you looking at the camera, and on a on a landing page, you should have a photo where you're looking at off to the side where the call to action is, because people's eyes automatically go to where you're looking, where the subject is looking at, right? Things like that. The countdown thing always works. Like the tripwire, like if somebody subscribes to your email, that's when their emotion is the highest. So right after that, take them to a page where there's like, okay, buy within the next 5 minutes and get this extreme discount. Like, there are so many things that you can use psychology to do to increase sales, and I'm not against any of that. That's the persuasion skill that I'm talking about, right? What I do want to emphasize is that if you have to rely on that to make a sale, and people don't have the same experience after the sale, like, then it's starting to like go against your brand, right?
Right.
So a lot of people do that. They're like, oh yeah, there's like product fatigue. Like, I've launched this product. It's so great in the beginning, and then now it's kind of like, no, it should be the other way around. Like, after you launch it should keep going up, right? Like, if your product, like, sales start to go down, that means your product sucks. It means that your product is not doing what it's supposed to do, because they should be talking about the product with their friends, and then it should just grow. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So that's what I want to emphasize on. Like, the biggest part of your brand is actually how you deliver your product and your service. I built my entire agency without a single piece of content, a single piece of marketing, all through word of mouth. So yeah, so kind of going back to the original point, right? Like we all have a reputation already, whether you post content or not. And when you post content, that's just a reflection of your reputation. So if you're the type of if you're the type of guy that every time you get together with friends, you're always late, and all your friends know it, right? This guy's always late, right? Like, if you're the type of person that's like, oh, never like hits the deadline, always misses deadlines or something like that, that's ingrained in you. That's you, right? And you can try to hide that all you want in your content in the long enough timeline, people are gonna find out, right? And that because like people are really good at seeing bullshit. So that's what I think that's the real brand is how you are in real life, what your reputation is in real life. You know, it shows up in your product. Yeah, it's everything. So all content is just a reflection of that. So if you don't want to be this type of person, if you don't like that weakness or whatever it is, the thing you should work on is to fix that offline. Not to cover it up with a mask, online.
The best way to do branding is go talk to therapists.
Yeah, I actually think so. Yeah, when a lot of times, like when clients come to me after our kickoff meeting, a lot of them say like some of them like end up crying. Some of them like are like, son, this was like a therapy session. It's because that's what I'm doing. I'm digging into their childhood, and I'm getting all these stories. I'm trying to figure out who this person really is, right? So yeah, branding in a lot of ways, branding is like therapy, and you'd be surprised how huge brands like come to us and we do the session and they had no idea who they were, or they had no idea like why they were doing what they were doing, or why their business, like what their business's purpose was, or something like that.
This is my personal experience, because right now, I'm like we're creating content. I talk to so many different content creators like constantly. This is one of the biggest things, and I think it's just because you have a book. I'm doing podcasts, so I get people reaching out, and we discuss these things in private. And like making video shorts is everything, right? Everyone's doing short videos and carousels and everything like that. And it's gone to a point where we keep hearing about this idea of like, oh, like how do you show up, tell those personal stories? And it's challenging because you're kind of like, okay, well, what's the hook? What's the delivery? What's the tension holder? Like there's so many different concepts in that. I, of course, like everyone else, I'm sure, like we all want to show up and be authentic. We understand that. But then we'll like make a video talking about something we're going through today, and then it'll get 200 views and then die, right? Like that's what ends up happening. So we come back and we're like, oh, see, your problem is you don't have a hook that's interesting. You don't have a tension builder that's interesting. So this to me is that conflict between authenticity and strategy, or the word that you're using, right? The strategy part of it, the persuade. How do you find yourself balancing this?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I think when I put out a content, okay, so there's like 3 different types of content that I'm putting out.
Yeah.
Consciously, right? The first type of content is the ones that where I want to reach new audience. So these are the things that I want this to go viral, right?
Okay.
I wanted to have the hook. I wanted to have like, and I usually, for me, a lot of times it's either a carousel or like a quote. Like for me, the thing that works the best is like I'll keep throwing out these one-liners on Threads. I don't know if you use Threads, but I'll keep throwing out these one-liners on Threads. And Threads has like a very good algorithm, meaning you can have like 500 followers and like all your posts gets like 2 likes. But then you post something that resonates with people, all of a sudden it'll get like 10,000 likes and like 1 million views. You know what I mean? Like it's like the early day TikTok type of algorithm, right? so you can quickly test out your ideas. And I I guess I've gotten kind of, I can kind of feel if something is gonna hit or not. But it's still like 90% of the time I'm like, really, that's the thing that went viral. Like it's really hard to guess, right?
Yeah.
So I just I post like 5 threads a day. I just, whatever is in my mind, I was like, post. And then like out of like 50 posts, like one will kind of outperform all the others. And I'll take that and I'll put it on like a image and post it on Instagram. And usually those will go viral. So most of the time it's pretty direct. So that my carousels, I think I'm just not as good in videos because maybe like I don't know, like in terms of like doing the hook, the viral type of video, because like there's a difference between like you going on a stage and giving a 30-minute talk or doing like a 30-minute video versus like a short 30-second, like
100%.
viral video like Jay Shetty does, right? So those are two different things, and that's not my my strength. So first is like the viral content. Second is the stuff that I want to talk about, right? The stuff that I think is important, right? And my goal here is not to get for it to go viral or reach new audience. My goal here is to build a deeper connection with my existing fans who are already like, because out of your, let's say, 100,000 followers, maybe there's like 1,000 of them who actually like really engaged with your content and really like your content or something like that, right? That's who this is for, that 1,000 people.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm just building a relationship with them. And sometimes those go viral because they'll like it and they'll start sharing it, and it hits the algorithm and does. And then the third type, which I actually need to get back to, I used to do a lot but not anymore, is actual tactical advice. Meaning, here's 3 things that you can do. Like one, like the thing I told you before, right? Like when you have a photo on the homepage, have a photo of you looking here. Like those are actual tactical advice tips that you can use today, right? Or like here's another one, like when on a sales page, you want copy to be long. On a landing page, you want copy to be short. And the reason why is because on a landing page is like an opt-in page where you can just try for free, right? Or you get ebook for free or demo trial or something like that.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to sit there and read. Like they just want to, like the more you write, the more you're chasing people away. Like they just want to put in their email and try for themselves, right? So the less you write, the better it is. But on a sales page where they have to put in a credit card and commit, like a lot of people like goes like, oh, this all sounds good, but I just have one question, and that question isn't answered, then that's how you lose customers. You're like, oh, I'll just come back. I'll ask them next time, or I'll come back next week, right? I'll do some more research, right? Like you don't want them to leave. Like you every every answer to every question that they might potentially have should be on that page. Do you know what I mean? So that's
the
why
sales page. Yeah, that's where you go dive deep.
Yeah. That's why I say sales page copy, longer the better. Landing page copy, the shorter the better.
I love
Like
this.
these are tactical things that I've learned over the years, right? So those are the last type of content. So ideally you want to do all 3. And you have to know what it's for. But here's what I'll say, right? I actually think the second one is the most important. It might not give you the most views, but it is the most important because one, it's gonna help you find yourself. I always say like making content is actually more for me than for the audience.
That's interesting.
Like
Tell me more.
I've learned more about myself through making content, just through writing, just talking, like
Interesting.
Things like this, because you get more clear about your thoughts. Like I might have an opinion, I might start writing about it or something like that, and I might learn something new about it. It's like, oh, actually, maybe I don't think this way. you know, something like, so you learn about yourself. And secondly, like it's the way you really connect with your audience, because you're just truly talking about things that you're interested in. So you're actually like attracting, and sometimes those that do end up going viral if it's if it's like a fresh take, if it's like a fresh opinion, fresh take. And I'm sure you've seen it, right? On TikTok, you see like somebody has like a 3-minute long video and it's got like 10 million views, right? Like
Yeah.
it's, well, where's the hook? Like, because like if people resonate with enough, they will, it'll go viral by just enough people sharing it, you know?
I love that. So just to recap, you have 3 different types. There's like the short ones that you do for outreach for people who haven't discovered you yet. And the second type,
Yeah,
really,
those are the
that's where the
viral ones.
authenticity, that's where the deep dive
Yeah.
goes into. That's where you really
Yeah.
share your worldview and your perspectives. And that's what builds relationships. And then, yeah, and then you dive into the how.
Yeah. the tactics.
So incredibly powerful. Son, I'm just gonna, I mean, usually we ask people like where do they find you and everything like that, but this is very personal. I want to go and buy a course or join a community or something to learn, actually learn more about this. Where do I go? Where do people go to find out more and really understand this?
So, okay. I've been running a community called Night Owl Nation, but don't go there. And here's the reason why. Because one of the things that I learned about community is that the membership community is something that you should always sell in the back end, not in the front end. So right now, which I'm launching in January, like a 10-week program.
Awesome.
And so this is like a kind of a tip for people who want to start membership, because people will come and like they see that I have a community and they're like, son, I want to do a kind of a low ticket community for people to, you know, get in as like a low ticket before we sell them the high ticket. And this is like a painful lesson that I've learned over the last couple of years is if you do that, you're actually chasing people away for your high ticket program. Because,
oh gosh.
Because what it's like is like, first you need to, like, if you want to get fit, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I'm going to give a fitness example. Like, you might want to hire a trainer who's going to give you all the right workout, the diet, and do everything right, and make sure that you're making a progress for a certain amount of time and you're doing the right things. And then like you can go to the gym on your own and maintain that, right, over time. But if I just throw you into the gym and it's like, go work out without any of that work, then you're gonna go for like 2 weeks and give up. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And that's kind of what's been happening, is because when I first launched the community the first year, I did like this extensive like thing for all the members. So those people, they know all of the storytelling tactics, everything that I talk about. So that when we now in the community every week, they're posting content, they're telling stories and sharing it. It's working, because like the whole purpose of my community is for you to practice storytelling. It's not really a place to learn storytelling. But now, because I'm not doing that part, people are lost. They're like, they come in, they tell some stories, and like they're obviously doing it wrong. And then like, you know, some of the OGs members will give them like some tips and like, okay, this doesn't have this story doesn't have a, you know, what we call a 5-second moment. Like there's these things that I teach early on. So they'll give these tips, but then for the most part, it's like with the new members, it's blind leading the blind. So it doesn't really work out, and they're like, this isn't so helpful, right? So now actually what I'm doing is I'm going to do a 10-week kind of a boot camp where I teach all of the storytelling tactics that I teach. And then afterwards, if they want to keep practicing that every week, then they can join the community and do that. But I started without that part, and that was like a huge mistake. So yeah, wait till January, get on my mailing list. I would say get on my mailing list. Every week I write emails that are pretty dope.
They're really good. Yeah, you go. You're. This is not AI generated sludge.
No.
There's real depth here.
Yeah, I'm really proud of my email. So I would say, yeah, get on my mailing list. And then when we launch the 10-week program,
Go
you'll
and join.
hear about it.
Go and join.
You're gonna hear
Amazing.
about it everywhere.
You hear about it everywhere. Thank you so much. For those who don't know where to find your, we'll have the link, but I just want to see if I could call it out so it's in there. On your official website, it's sunyi.co, sunyi.co. Is that right? And you should see
Yep.
the newsletter. We'll make sure the link is all in there, so that you can go and check it. Dude, thank you so much, brother. This has been so packed full of usable content and information. I mean, I got pages of notes that I'm going to go and start putting and updating my website. I'm like, do I have a photo that looks this way? Do I have a photo that looks the other thing? So thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you. Any final things before we move on?
No, I think
Amazing.
I've said.
All right, Sunyi, go check out his stuff. We'll make sure all the links are in there. Thank you again for your incredible time. As always, if this is something you're listening to on a weekly basis, every week we chat, dive deeply into these topics for Asian Americans. And as always, if you found something that's helpful in this episode, share it with your community, share it with somebody personal you care about, send them a message. Because as always, when we rise together.